Oh no! Oh god, we're live.
Oh no!
Oh shoot!
What
Wowza!
Quick, say the first thing that comes to your word.
Yeah. Nah. So only I, Caleb, need to clap.
Yep.
All right, sweet, perfect.
It's comfy.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm Caleb.
I'm Chaparoo.
And we're about to destroy this episode. Shaps, have you seen the recent resurgence in our channel?
Yeah, honestly. I mean, look at that. Just like pa-pom, pa-pom, pa-pom every day. Just something new to look at. Like, I think a couple days ago, we just hit 10 subscribers.
Right.
Boom. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what we did, but
So it's not just friends and family anymore. It's actually like fans.
we have a small little army.
I know. So we are almost 300 subscribers strong. I meant to say Spartans. Shoot.
Spartans?
Yeah, I was going to say we're almost 300 Spartans
pretty
strong.
dope.
That's what I meant to say. So
Honestly,
I
like,
fucked it up.
I would say within, year's end or maybe early next year, we'll have 1,000 at this rate.
That'd be so cool. I mean, yeah. I mean, so this week, from last week, I was listening. I was like, yeah, we're at 247 subscribers, and now we're at 266. It's almost 19 in a week.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually killing it. I'm excited. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of last week, we talked about stuff we got coming down the pipeline. I apologize. The next couple at-night episodes are going to be a lot of work.
Yeah.
we were having production issues out the wazoo, so you're going to have a heck of a time putting those together.
Gotcha.
But that's what he wanted to do, guys. Remember, I'm not overworking my staff. He signed up for this. He was like, I want to do that instead. You do shorts. I was like, okay, that'll work.
He really likes doing the shorts.
It's not that I like them. It's I like reaping the reward of them, but I get what I put into it, and it's a lot of work. I'm putting in a lot on these. So, but it's working out. So I think we had like 5 or 6 this week hit almost 4K.
Yeah.
Like views. And 19 subs in a week. I mean, yeah, maybe one day we'll explode and get something big like, oh my gosh, 400 subs a week, but, we'll see. It's got to hit once, got to go viral one time. I'm loving how this tattoo looks in the lighting. Looks good.
Yes, sir.
Yep, sorry.
He gets distracted.
Yeah, I was just busy looking at myself, and I liked what I saw.
Yeah.
I just lean into this more. All right, on the agenda for today, I don't know if it'll be as heavy hitter of a news week, obviously, but I just finished rewatching Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole thing?
Yeah, essentially. Starting from the beginning, and I'm watching all the ups and the downs, and got through. I'm not gonna lie though, I kind of picked my favorite episodes out of season 5, of which there are only like 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that was such a bad season, but I went through the other show like from the beginning, the other season. So, when did you start watching Rick and Morty?
Probably around season 2, which is weird because like I heard about Rick and Morty for a long time, and I think people forget like there was a big gap between season 2 and 3.
Yeah,
a big gap. So like I started watching middle of season 2, and like I don't think I liked it at first, but like I started watching season 1, but like when season 2 came out. And like, I don't think I liked it at first that much. And then I don't really know what changed. I just started watching the rest of the episodes, and I sort of like started really liking them.
Yeah.
And then like season 3, that's when like it blew up. Like everyone was a freaking Rick and Morty fan.
Yeah.
Out the wazoo. And then like season 4, I remember really liking as well.
Right.
Could you remind me the synopsis of season 5 since you're fresh with it? What mostly happened in that season?
I mean, season 5 is the introduction to Mr. Nimbus, who we never see again. Let me go there.
Yeah, I remember this.
But that was a good episode.
Yeah.
Like they make fun of Narnia. They make fun of like different worlds having different time zones and stuff like that. That was a good episode. And Mr. Nimbus was an interesting character. But then episode 2 is I think Mortyplicity, and that's the one where they jump. Every season they do. They do an episode that's them screwing around watching TV or on that fantasy train. Like they always have that episode. So I think episode 2 is that episode where they're screwing around. That's one where they start killing their duplicates or their doubles.
Gotcha.
But let me actually look, because now I'm kind of curious. Episode list. But I guess before we can go season by season actually and talk about the quality. I think. Let me put
sure.
I'm same with you. So they dropped season 1 and 2 like relatively back to back.
Yeah.
Right. And then big gap between 2 and 3. I'm not sure how long, but it was at least a year.
I think it was like a couple years.
Right.
Like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Because I was in college when season 3 kind of went like big.
Before season three dropped, it wasn't like as big a show as everyone likes it now. You know, it was popular, really popular, but it didn't have that hype. You know, it didn't have the freaking Szechuan sauce hype yet.
Yeah,
that was when season 3 dropped.
Yeah, let me just try and find season 5. There we go. That should do it. Sort of. Oh yeah, you can drag. Okay. So season 1 was pretty good. It had a lot of heavy themes. The animation was still like learning what it kind of, I mean, I won't say learning what it wanted to be, but it wasn't as refined. Like it's very like the animation quality is not as high. I'd say I'd compare it, well, maybe it's apples and oranges, but Invincible season 1, the animation wasn't that good. Like it had the art design and the style they were going for, but there was still a lot of stuff they had to cut corners
Invincible
on.
definitely had a bigger budget than Rick and Morty. So Rick and Morty were probably like low budget.
Yeah. At least season 1. I would say now it's got a decent budget because they got so many celebrity actors. Season 2, pretty good. And it ends on a big cliffhanger. And then I remember for April Fool's Day, I think 2016, they just dropped season 3, episode 1. And then, that's when it went huge because we didn't know when the rest of the season was going to drop.
Right.
The writing was the best it's ever going to be. Season 3, it was just every episode was a banger. Even their worst episode of season 3 was still very well written. And I say worst episodes because like the Dan Harmon hated it. And
which one was it?
That was the one with the Vindicators.
Oh, I love
3.
that one too.
Yeah, and it was good, especially compared to season 5.
Interesting.
Yeah, but he hates that episode. Like,
wow.
And there was footage that leaked, but didn't go like crazy viral or anything. Where he was yelling at staff, and he was like, "Go finish this episode!" Like, he's like yelling at him, "Get out of my face! Go finish editing in Vindicators episode." He hates it, and that was my least favorite. I was worried by when that came out. I was like, "Oh no, I guess we're out of the Rick and Morty like shoot." But then the rest of the season was fantastic, and it was so good at slow burn, putting in villains that'll show up later, and it was great. Yeah. The pacing and everything was just like masterful.
Right.
Season 4, not quite as good as season 3. And there was one dud. That's the one with the dragons. Like,
yeah, it's my least favorite.
Right.
Probably.
And actually for some reason they took those writers and moved them over to season 5.
Right.
Like they were like, okay, that's the episode we're going, like, get all these guys. And it's like you swear you're watching a different show.
Right.
Like it's like juvenile humor.
Like Big Mouth or something.
Yeah. And it set the stage for the rest of season 5. and so I was worried when season 5 came out. I was like, I think the show's done for. Like the writing's bad. I don't think Dan Harmon. When did Dan Harmon get kicked off? Season 6.
Kicked off?
Yeah.
You mean Justin Roiland?
Justin Roiland. Sorry.
Yeah.
Justin Roiland.
Yeah, season 6. Yeah, latest one.
7. 7's the one with the new voices, right?
Is it 7? We're not on 7, are we?
Yeah, we're on 7 right now.
We're on 7.
Yeah.
I thought it was 6.
Yeah. So after season 3, was there a bigger gap between 2 and 3 to 3 and 4, or no? Because there was a big gap after 3.
There was, but I remember there being the biggest gap I think was between 2 and 3, and then there was a significant big gap because then they cut up seasons, like they released half the season at once and then the rest of it later. Like there was a dispute I remember at one point of whether or not the show was going to get greenlit again. So
right, so that was
rough landing.
That was season 3. So season 3, they made it, and it was like one of the most popular shows, definitely on Adult Swim, and in general, and Justin Roiland knew that, so he made season 3, and then he said, "Okay, I'm tired of going season by season and getting renewed." He's like, "Look, this is a very popular show. Like everyone's going to McDonald's screaming Szechuan sauce. I want to talk about Szechuan sauce in a minute." And he's like, "Look, like I'm not going to do this unless you renew us long term." And he basically dropped his meat on the table and was like, "Look, you renew this for a long term thing or nothing." And so that's when he got the deal to secure like 110 episodes, and each season, with the exception of season 1, is 10 episodes. Season 1's 11, something weird, like a weird number in general. Like any mini series is like 12 episodes, But anyway, so he did that. They negotiated like a 110 episode deal, something long term, and then another big gap from 3 and 4. I don't know what the holdup was, but the writing, I guess he wanted to write. Animation takes forever, it happens. But I think what they were doing was they were just editing and pumping out episodes for the long term, and that's why
Yeah.
there's a big gap. So they did 4. They were probably working on 5. So let me back up now while we're still on the season 3 topic. Szechuan sauce. Did you attempt to
No.
get Szechuan sauce at all?
No.
Why not? Or did you just not hear about it?
I heard pretty quickly that it was a disaster. Like,
Yeah.
I found out pretty quickly. Most people did.
Mm.
Now, if for those who don't remember, I mean, who doesn't know at this point? Yeah, essentially, Rick makes a big deal about Szechuan sauce, McDonald's Szechuan sauce in one of the episodes, or episode 1 of season 3.
Yeah.
And it blew up online for whatever reason. Don't really know why. It just did. And this kind of showed the actual power and influence Rick and Morty has over the generation.
It did, though, which
Yeah.
I would say not so much anymore.
Not
but
so much
continue.
anymore. It did, definitely.
Yeah.
And people got into freaking riots over the Szechuan sauce because McDonald's, being kind of dumb, they could have either not done it or they could have done a whole. Around the same time, Mulan, the remake, the live action remake, was coming out. So everyone was like, oh, well, they're obviously going to tie this in. It's perfect, business move. Well, they ended up instead only releasing a small pocket of Szechuan sauces to not every location, but some locations.
The amount of sauce you'd find in someone's car.
Yeah, legitimately a handful.
Yeah.
Because they thought that was going to be
Yeah.
enough. But that's where the riots started. And,
Yep.
and that's when people started to realize, oh my gosh, this show is pretty freaking popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't get the Szechuan sauce.
McDonald's is kind of tone deaf. So I went to McDonald's to get the Szechuan sauce, guys.
Yeah.
I didn't go. I went thinking, because I was like, it's coming back. It's coming back on this day. I'm going to go and grab as many as I can. Little did I know that each McDonald's restaurant, as many I could fit in my hand, is how much they gave the entire restaurant.
Yeah.
So each one got less than a dozen packets of sauce. So I get to this McDonald's, me and my sister. This is back when me and her hung out a lot more. We pulled up to the McDonald's, and there's a line out around the McDonald's. Oh, shoot.
And you're like, I bet I'm the only one asking for this.
Right. And silly me going to the local McDonald's, I was like, cool. And I get there, there's a line, and each McDonald's had 10 packets, period. If that. It was sad. So that's when you started seeing the online videos of people jumping up on the countertop and squealing and trying to go, just go crazy on
Cringe
people.
culture at its peak.
Yeah. And so, so yeah, we get there. They're sold out, and some McDonald's were too afraid to tell anybody. They were afraid, okay, they passed out all 5 packets. They probably handed out a couple to one person, right? The first guy that asked, hey, can I get as many Szechuan sauces as you can?
Yeah.
Sure. Here's all of them.
Right.
So then you had small riots going on. People are shouting, we want sauce. And then the kid working the register is like,
I don't know what to do.
What are you supposed to do? It's terrifying, right? So McDonald's said they released a statement, and they said, hey, we're sorry. We didn't realize that. No, I'm sorry. First they said, wubba lubba dub dub. We're sorry we fudged this up.
They didn't say that, did they?
I believe it said wubba lubba dub. I have to pull it up. It was almost 10 years ago at this point, dude.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's an old article I have to find, right? But they tweeted wubba lubba dub dub. We messed up our. So so yeah, they released an apology, and they said, we will come back and make sure we have enough sauce for everybody.
I don't think they ever did.
They didn't. That was the thing. I was sitting here waiting. They said, we'll do it holiday 2016. I was excited. I was like, let's do it. I mean, maybe it was 2017. I can't remember. But I was like, I'm excited. Let's do this. Let's get this done.
Right.
And then they never did it. And they didn't say anything, and everyone forgot.
Because they're too scared.
Except me.
Thing, this is what season 3 especially, again, peak of the show.
Yeah.
But also was when it got the most annoying. Wasn't that Pickle Rick season?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, the Pickle Rick memes. I'm just like that was annoying.
You can YouTube any YouTuber will say, I hate Rick and Morty fans, because they just, for some reason, they're toxic.
No, it is an incredibly toxic community.
I don't get it. So what's their deal? What's your run-in with them? I mean, why are they crazy, I guess?
I only get the annoying ones. I don't get the toxic ones. There are some who are like, well, if you don't, I hate this. When people say that Rick and Morty is one of the smartest shows, it's it's not really. It has elements of science and stuff, but to say that it's the smartest show, and if you don't like it, you just don't get it. It's Okay, well,
Well, for the time period, I think it was one of the smartest shows written, but that's only based on like the first 3 seasons.
yeah,
The first 3 seasons hit you really hard with elements of nihilism, with elements of being alone, with elements of hating yourself. Like it really hit those things, and it was like, okay. So for the first 3 seasons were very, very, I would say some of the best written like adult animation I've seen.
yeah,
And then everything after that, though, like good, except for season 5, good, but not like great. Like nothing they've released has really matched the first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I think a big part of that too is that they're also like they're giving Rick arcs, they're giving Morty a bunch of arcs, and that's stuff that the first 3 seasons didn't do was because the whole point is nothing matters. But what we're seeing as the show goes on is Rick is realizing that some stuff does matter to him, and maybe he's still right about it in the grand scheme of things, though universe doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But he's starting to realize, like, okay, I can care a bit, and same thing with Morty. Like, there's several episodes where he gets fed up with Rick and leaves, and then comes back the next episode. But
was season 3 also the one with Tales from the Citadel?
Yep,
Okay, is that season 3?
that's season 3.
That's my favorite episode.
Yeah,
That's when I freaking turned on and I was like, this is my show now.
No, season 3 is peak Rick and Morty. Absolutely.
Now,
Going out again.
we'll get into this because it's coming up.
Yeah.
Rick and Morty also has a habit of setting up really, really cool things and then getting it resolved in one episode and basically kind of throwing their hands up and saying, well, next year, expectations.
Yeah.
That's just about it. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I get it. It's a troll show at the end of the day. Like season 4 and 5 specifically and onwards, I suppose. They just kind of like troll the audience, and I get it. It's subverting expectations, but at the same time, like they're also setting up things to get invested in, but then like pulling the rug out from under you. And you can only do that so many times for me to keep invested.
Right.
I'm kind of over it now.
Yeah, so you're saying like it's almost repetitive.
Yeah, they've done it so many freaking times. Like
right.
every season finale sets up something really, really big, and then they resolve it like immediately.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there was for the Evil Morty thing was actually a really cool resolution, but like it was in one episode,
right?
Where they go to the Citadel, and it was just like fast forward essentially, and then like what Morty did, he created like that big rift, in the central finite curve or whatever, the giant rift that was going to like halt I think portal travel, or it was going to open up,
and the dinosaurs just sew it
dinosaurs
up.
just go, it's like, oh, it was funny, but
he's like, we had a big arc plan for that.
that I'm just like the meta humor. Okay, that's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah,
I am over the meta humor. I think everyone is, because here's the thing: Rick and Morty pioneered the modern day meta humor.
Yeah,
and now it's just like all over the place.
Well, it's like that's their one big joke,
right?
And it still does it well. You tell the same joke over and over, and this time it's a different color.
Right.
You put a different spin on
Eventually
it.
You'll be like,
but it's the same joke.
Yeah.
And you're right. So I won't say like the writing's still good, but they've overused the meta stuff.
Right.
And that's what I won't say people are tired of it, because they're still renewing it. Actually they renewed the long-term deal. Yeah. So maybe when the deal runs out, because I still think they have to have like 50 episodes left.
The only time I actually like get into it is if they go, like, if there's an episode where they go 100% meta, then I'm fine with it. It's not, I hate the whole in the middle of the road where like some characters are like actually invested in what's going on, and then Rick just says something that's like, oh, okay. It takes me back out of it. It breaks the immersion essentially.
Right.
One of the episodes, I think it was in the latest season, was when they fight Storylord again.
Yeah.
The second time. Like, I actually really like that episode.
I didn't care for that one.
Really?
But that was their screw around episode, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I'm okay with those. Like, if they go full meta and then they don't care about, like, this episode will not impact the story at all. I'm like, okay, good. It's just when, like, they try to build up, like, for instance, what was it? The bird person arc, Yeah. And then they build up like the government, and then Tammy, and then again, like in one episode, she's just dead. And then like
I mean, they saved those episodes that actually kind of progress the plot forward. They saved those for like the season finale or something like that.
Right.
Episode 8.
See, I remember it being, so a lot of people are either episodic fans or people who like arcs, you know, for their seasons.
Yeah.
I'm more, it depends on the show, obviously. But like for a show like this, more than likely, I like the arcs. You know, like I really like for us entire season to have one steady arc.
Yeah.
I remember that was a conversation between like Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland at the time. Was like, do we make it more episodic? Do we make it just more like they even say it in the show, like like classic, like season 1, you know, like where anything can happen. Like some people do get like that. I actually like the other part, you know, when they actually like story progression, you know.
Yeah. I agree. Those are the best parts of season 5, right? Or the progression, the plot progression.
That's why I like Evil Morty so much because like he's like a character that is either just as smart as Rick or smarter, and Rick understands that. That's why he hates him so much, and like is a good opposition, a good threat, who is somewhat continuing some sort of arc going on.
Yeah. So we get to episode 5. I'm sorry, season 5.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
season
So 4, good, but not. And I noticed a dip in quality a bit. But here's one problem is that they keep losing writers, and not because there's a big conflict, but because the writers are so good, they move on to other stuff.
Right.
So 4, not quite as good. It has the dragon episode, which is like, ugh, like bad, right? And that's the notably worst episode. For some reason, that episode, they took those writers and had them do most of season 5.
Yeah.
So you get to season 5, and it starts off really strong. You got the Mr. Nimbus.
Yeah.
Episode 2's more duplicity, where they're fighting their clones. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
That was funny, right? And then next one is what's her name? The Captain Planet ripoff. You know what I'm talking about?
I actually like that one.
It's okay.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I like half of the episode.
Which part do you like?
I only like the Captain Planet stuff.
Right.
I hate the other arc that they're doing.
Why do you hate that other arc in that episode?
It's just annoying. Like I've just had enough with it. It's completely like it's sexualized, you know, but also like I don't like how Rick acts in that episode.
I agree.
Essentially,
He's out of character.
I completely out of character.
Because he falls in love again with some random girl he meets at a party.
Right.
And for some reason he thinks, like, for some reason now he believes in love. And he thinks this woman loves him, like for no reason, zero. Like he just met her, and he's acting like Summer does in the earlier seasons.
And then, like, even though she's clearly taking advantage of him, I think he even knows it. He just lets it happen. It's like, why did he take the dumb pill today?
Yeah.
And Summer has to want to kind of bring him out of it.
Yeah.
Didn't care for it, wasn't invested. But here's the thing. The reason I didn't like it so much is because it was way overshadowed by the other arc with Morty. Like that felt a lot better.
Right.
A lot stronger.
Yeah.
And whenever we went back to Rick, I just kind of went, you know, again.
Yeah. Because I like Planetina. I liked her. And I like that I like that Morty breaks up with her later.
Right.
I thought that was like good. Like,
no, it was very like surprisingly mature and like that part of the episode.
Of it, yeah.
And I love like him fighting all the children that summon her and like them marketing her, you know, and like profiting from it. I was like, that's a really funny idea. I like that stuff.
Right.
And usually I don't like it when they just do a parody episode. Like for instance, I don't like the Voltron episode a whole lot.
And that's the other one in episode or season 5.
The ferret episode. Yeah, they do like
So
I don't really like the parody episodes, you know, because then it's like unoriginal.
Right.
But I do like what they did with Planetina at the very end. Like that was really cool.
No, Planetina was a good part of that episode. So that episode's like a mixed bag. It has a really bad plot line and it has a decent plot line.
Yeah.
And then you get to episode 4, and that's Rick Dependence Spray. That's the worst episode in the entire show.
Do give the summary.
I will do my best, but I don't like talking about this one. So Morty steals Beth's horse milker.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah,
that one's painful to sit
It's
through.
bad. And I watched it, and I was like, this is not Rick and Morty anymore. You know? And so it's juvenile.
Yeah.
It's juvenile. Like, I get the whole premise of that episode should have just been like one-off joke.
Right.
Where he steals Beth's horse milker and he puts his own genitals in it, and he's like, you know, whoo, and he's like all sweaty, he's drinking orange juice. Like, that's like one funny joke. And for some reason, Rick uses, you know, he uses that and accidentally creates a creepy army of sperm monsters, you know?
Yeah.
And then there's this weird thing with horse people.
Right.
And then it has like an incest baby in it.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's
what is
when I was
this?
like, okay, again, the writer's fascination with having all the characters have sex with each other.
Right.
And like, I don't like it. I don't get behind it. I don't think it's funny. I think it's just gross. But yeah, the whole incest baby thing, I'm just like, why? Like,
right.
What? It doesn't, no, it's just gross. And then like at the very tail end, they make a bunch of characters sexist for no reason, which I didn't get. It was kind of out character for the people. Like, I couldn't get attached to like anything in the episode. The only part I liked was honestly like the whole start of it, like the build up to the joke was where like Rick is like trying to build like a poison or something for the horse. Like that's funny.
Right.
And then it just so happens to be Morty and his specimen. But like everything past that, I'm just like, this is just gross. It's weird and
so
not funny.
A big problem with season 5 is a lot of the good writers left to go work on the other show by Justin Roiland. Is it Justin Roiland or Dan Harmon? But who does polar opposites or something, or solar opposites. I had it right the first time. They do solar opposites, and it's got the voices. It's got Justin Roiland doing it, and so they all went to work on that, leaving Rick and Morty in kind of like a weird, like, okay, we'll hire people. We'll get all the guys who couldn't cut it from season 4,
right?
And they'll do kind of season 5. So episode 4 is like the lowest Rick and Morty will ever get. That also ties into episode, I think 6 or 7. But that's the one with they bring the incest baby back. That's with the ferrets. That's with the is it Voltron? What are they parodying?
Yeah, it's Voltron.
Yeah, but episode 5 is a Mortykin graffiti, and that's okay. That's the one they're making fun of Pinhead and the Hellraiser movies where they love pain, and that's Hellraiser's big deal. Pinhead.
I didn't like that one.
Is he? It was pretty decent because
what was the other arc? Because there's 2 arcs in that one.
So that's the one also where Summer and Morty steal Rick's car, and they're going around trying to impress the high school guy.
And there's that Transformers parody too. So it was just like a lot of parodies in that season.
Yeah, they make fun of Galactus, and they're chasing they're luring Galactus with the planet that they tied to the car, and they're flying. That episode was okay. Like it was better because their Hellraiser's thing was like they love pain. They take pleasure in pain. And so then these guys are like, oh, that hurts, but because I love pain, I love it. Right. But also, ow. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I can't get behind any Jerry episodes. I've never ever liked that character.
You don't like nope. Jerry at all?
Nope.
Okay, that's weird. I like Jerry a lot.
I've never gotten behind him.
Yeah.
I think there are better ways, and obviously I'm in the minority there. Yeah. I think there are better ways to make a loser character. He's just annoying to me. Like I can never like it. Like I think the episodes he dies, multiple episodes he dies, like are my favorite. I'm just like, no, don't like that character.
But I see.
I'm in the minority. I get it.
When we get to season 6 too, I like how I don't know. He's grown a lot too, because in season 6, when he gets sent back to his original universe, and he's the odd man out of his family that's just crapping on him, because he's grown and he's sitting there like, I hate this. And he's like, you know, so I don't know. I like that. I like him a lot, but agree to disagree on that. You got the turkey episode. That one was okay. I'm not a fan. A character I don't like is the president.
Really?
I'm so tired of the president because it's the same arc. He's prideful and he clashes with Rick. That's it. That's the episode every single time. Him and Rick are battling egos. We talked about the Voltron one. Episode 8 is actually pretty good. That's the one where he goes back and rescues Bird Person. And from his mind, and that was really good. It progresses the plot along. It fleshes out Bird Person and their relationship. Bird Person comes back because he died at the end of season 3, so it was pretty good. I very much enjoyed that. And then episode 9, that's when Rick and Morty decide to split off. I didn't like that episode at all. Where the crows, like he hires the crows to be his new sidekick. I didn't care for that one.
Yeah, because it ends really quickly. Like in the next episode, it's just done.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to find funny about it.
Right.
Like what the big jokes were. I think it had a lot of funny moments, definitely, but more in like the parody sense,
Yeah, so we get to episode 8, which is really good. It fleshes out Bird Person, their relationship, and their dynamic. I don't know when it stopped. And then episode 9, just like, I don't know. He hires the crows. Like it's not that funny.
It's like they didn't have a whole lot of jokes. I remember it was like obviously it's comedy. It's gonna have some, but like it really toned it down. Believe it or not, like with the humor for whatever reason, it really tried to pitch this idea that Rick was like gonna move on, and he's like leaving Morty behind. Like really tried to build that up. Like this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And then, it gets resolved in the next episode.
Yeah. So it ends with them breaking up. You're like, oh, shoot, they're about to go on this big arc. I'm actually kind of excited about this. Yeah. And then, like, no, just kidding.
It's like
beginning episode 10, they're fine. They worked it out.
Sorry, audience, for getting you hooked on an idea. Honestly, I want something different for once. So I was almost excited. I was like, okay, I want to see what Morty, is he going to get, like, is he become his own man, Is he actually become, like, sort of like an independent character? No, he's just waiting on Rick, and then he just kind of tricks Rick into coming back. It's like, you know,
just like,
and then Rick looks like a jerk because like he left everything again,
and then just comes back
for crows, and then comes back. Like again, a little out of character for him again.
Right. Right. So, and they just don't really bring it up again either. Like they mention it, but they don't really bring it up.
It's just for jokes, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So episode 10, I thought was really good. So we finally get Evil Morty explained.
Yeah.
Well,
Kind
not
of
explained
semi,
yet.
yeah.
But he's finally like he pushes his plan forward, and it's really good. He's really smart. He's a good villain, and his evil plan wasn't just to kill Rick, like we were all speculating. He just wanted to leave. It also fleshes out the multiverse a lot.
Yeah. So it actually is really a kind of funny and dark idea that Rick, all the Ricks essentially, like finited the multiverse to where they're the only smartest person in the universe, like at all times. I'm like, that's a really cool idea. It's a very Rick thing to do.
Yeah. So the central finite curve, that's what's introduced in season 5. So it's like it's a mixed bag. There's like 7 crappy or mixed bag episodes and 3 really good ones, right? Well, okay, more like 6 and 4, but that's still too many bad episodes, right? But so yeah, this one was like they put all the writers back in on this one. They pulled in from Solar Opposites, it feels like, and got everyone back on deck for episode 10. Evil Morty, central finite curve, really cool. So and that's what I think. Not to talk about Marvel too much, but I feel like that's what Marvel's on is like they're making Doctor Strange the center of the multiverse, and I was like, well, he is on that central finite curve, like you said, he's the center of the universe. So I have like a big understanding of like multiverse now, and I thought that it was just really cool, just stuff I'd never seen before. And Evil Morty had a really good plan, like he was very fleshed out, or added to at least. They didn't flesh him out till season 7.
I like that line he has where it's like, I forget exactly what it was, but basically something like, yeah, I just want to leave. That's what makes me evil, essentially. It's just like, I just want, all this to be done. I'm sick of him. I'm tired of him being the center of the universe. That's what makes me evil. It's like, oh, wow, that's really cool.
He's like, if you've ever been sick of his crap, then you're Evil Morty too.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, I like that.
Yeah. So, and they use a name that the fans assigned to him. Yeah. Like, they didn't use a name they made
never, ever said. They just started saying, which I think that's almost like a cool way of using meta, essentially.
Yeah.
Which I really like. I really enjoy that. And then like the yellow portal gun, which is really cool idea. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like,
and then when he hops in the portal, I was like, where did he go?
Like, whoa.
Like I want to go through there too. Like I'm sick of Rick and Morty too. I want to see what's in there. So season 5's over. And I was like, man, what happened? I was so worried about future seasons. I was like, I think this is the end of the show. I think the show's done. I just don't see how they're going to fix this, right? And then season 6 starts. It didn't have as big of a banger opening as season 5. Yeah. Like season 5, episode 1 was so good that I thought the rest of it, like this show's going to slap now from season 5. Excuse me. And I was wrong. And season 6 opening, not quite as good as season 5, but it was it was a good, and it was consistently good throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
Not like there were a couple ones that I didn't love, but it wasn't like nowhere near as bad as season 5.
Space Beth's not my favorite character.
No, and actually I don't like Beth, period.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. So how do you feel about Evil Rick? Like the center of all Ricks.
The Prime Rick?
Prime Rick. Rick Prime.
For once, I actually don't mind that they tied it up pretty quickly, because it was really like cool the way they did it, and they tied it in Evil Morty, and it was season 7, right?
Yeah,
that's when they tied it in. It's kind of a pointless character. That's why I don't mind it being tied up so quickly, because like Rick doesn't need that.
Right.
Essentially, he is his own worst enemy.
Yeah, and
that's kind of like I think what's representing essentially is that it. At the end of the day, Rick is like the villain of the universe. Yeah, he is his own worst enemy. So there really isn't like a big evil to fight. Yeah, and Evil Morty kind of took that away from him, because he's like, oh yeah, Evil Morty isn't trying to kill you. He's just trying to get away from everything. Yeah. He's just trying to break what you built, essentially. Yeah. So I really liked it being kind of like a tease, like where is this going to go, but also like how they resolved it.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't happy at first with Rick Prime. At all, because season 3 is when he's introduced. Yeah. But I thought he was so smart, he faked the backstory. Yeah. And that's how he broke out of that machine. That's what I thought. Right. And it turns out that there was a Rick Prime, and that's what that was a true story. That wasn't just clever writing on his part. Right. That was like a real thing. I was upset about that. Like, oh, he wasn't improving the whole the whole escape of season 3. And I thought for a little bit it took away from season 3 a bit.
Gotcha.
That first episode.
I can see that.
Yeah. So, season 4, the end of season 5 turns out Rick Prime's real. Season 6, episode 1, they all get pulled back to their original universes. We finally get to close the book on Morty's original universe. You're
talking about
wiped out.
The show Morty, right?
Yeah.
So back where the Crocklebites were,
Right, the Cronenberg stuff.
Cronenbergs,
Yeah, the Cronenbergs are resolved. Like he meets his original Jerry,
right?
And he talks to him. There's good dialogue, good writing. Like, I don't. Back to Beth. I don't love Beth because she's so selfish and so self-centered. She will not admit she's a bad person. I hate those people in general. So I hate her. But Space Beth was okay. They don't give you an answer on who's like the real Beth and who isn't, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like that's never been the point of Rick and Morty. In fact, when I was watching the episode where they meet both the Beths, I was like, we're not going to get an answer because that's not Rick and Morty style. And
exactly.
It doesn't matter. Like that's not the point of it. The point isn't to get an answer on something.
And it's in Rick's character to do what he did.
Yeah,
I think.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, almost kind of like. I think if they just got rid of OG Beth and kept Space Beth, like it'd be better. Because like then she's so different a character, you know, it would be like washing away all the things you don't like about the old one.
Right.
I almost kind of wish they would do the same thing with Jerry, but on the other hand.
Yeah, and then they switch universes again, which was hilarious because Mr. Frundles destroys everything.
Right.
He like bites space, so turns it into Mr. Frundles. Pretty cool. But you get to season 6, and the writing's good. It's really good, but it's not my favorite. But like it's like season 4 good at least, or maybe a little bit better. So like it's continuing on. Justin Roiland gets fired. Yep. Turns out he's a weird sex pervert. you know, he's like,
wow, who would have thunk it?
I know, who would have thought? And he's been good about keeping his mouth shut. He was found acquitted, but they fired him. So there's definitely something he was doing.
Yeah, but
they just kind of like got rid of him. And so now it's kind of like case closed.
Which, if Nickelodeon has anything to tell us, it's everyone knew. Everyone probably knew. And they just want to move on from it. No more controversy. Right. Which is like, that's a little unnerving.
Yeah. And I was worried when he was fired about the writing. Yeah. I was worried, like, okay, so the writing was already starting to suck with season 5. Let me see if this is in the way a little bit. The writing was already starting to suck with like season 5. Yeah. And so when he's fired in season 6, I was like, oh no, like we're done. Like we're never gonna get season 3 good again. Right. You know what I mean? And they announced season 7, and that's when I had the idea for this episode of like I think Rick and Morty's like falling off, and I go into season 7 fully expecting it to suck, like suck, like bad suck. But it turns out it was good. Like, and it was like one of the best seasons. Like
like, I know this is like a butchered term, but classic Rick and Morty in the sense that it's just classically good again. Yeah. Like I remember liking most of the episodes as much as I liked the episodes from like season 3. Right. Like, what was it? The fortune cookie episode? Was that the latest season?
I believe so.
Gosh, that was a funny.
It was
episode.
Hilarious. Let me look.
I love that one.
Let me see. Rick and Morty episode with cookies. No, that was season 6.
Oh, that was 6.
Yeah. So that was really good.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
7 though had Evil Morty comes back. Right. Rick, that we resolved Rick Prime. They resolved him a lot faster than I thought they would. I thought we were gonna get another season or 2 of just referencing him. Right. And then but no, they totally take him out. But and the Evil Morty episode where he comes back was fantastic. Oh yeah. So good. And, we get his backstory finally. He's not there. There were so many fan theories on who Evil Morty was, and it turns out he's none of those. He was just a Morty that got sick of everything. Yeah,
he almost like has that when he's like relaxing on that resort. Basically, he kind of reminds me of like Thanos when he's just like on his farm. After he did the big deed. Essentially. Yeah. And then he's like, oh crap, like I'm being called back. Essentially, like there's a problem, and I need to go fix it. I need to go fix it for Rick, essentially, which is a really good idea. Right. But I don't mind Rick Prime being like. At least he got some good dialogue off of him, before he ended him, I suppose. But yeah, it just goes to show like what is next, essentially, because I feel like all the old Justin Roiland stuff, whether or not he had anything to do with it, because we can go into like how he really didn't have that much to do with the writing at that point
at all.
Yeah, but like all that the old era stuff is like washed away. So it really is yet again a new turn for Rick and Morty, like where to go from here.
Yeah, they're gonna have to do some new. They're gonna have to do new stuff. Like, and it's not the last we've seen of Evil Morty. No, definitely not. I'm actually gonna say, I don't think this is the last we'll see of Rick Prime either.
You don't think so?
No,
Really?
yeah, because there's a little bit of a gap when he ties up Rick Prime and Rick Prime's trying to deal with him. But we don't see what they actually talk about. We cut away, and then the next time we see Evil Morty, he's leaving, and he tosses Rick the stuff, and he's like, okay, go nuts.
Right.
But what did they talk about for a little bit before he left the room? Because we didn't see the whole dialogue of him saying and then leaving. There's a little bit of overlap of, we're watching our Rick and Morty see what 137. I don't remember.
Yeah.
C-137. They're waking up and like, are you okay? Are you okay? And then even Morty comes up and says, here, he's done. Go crazy. I don't think he's gone. I think he might have negotiated something or offered him something. So I could see a team up where both of them are together now. And they what would have been interesting, which I kind of wish they went with, was when Jerry's like, hey, do you want to team up? The Jerry from C-137, the arced out Jerry, negotiates with Rick Prime. He's like, hey, we should team up or something. And then he's like, no, I don't do team ups anymore. I would have loved that.
They do the freaking Morbius post-credit scene.
Yeah, they do that. And I think that's what they're making fun of.
Yeah.
And then, but like, imagine like Jerry Prime, Rick Prime, and Evil Morty like teaming up. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be a pretty dang good episode.
Yeah.
You know? So I was hoping they would kind of go into that, but no, that's done. So.
Evil Morty clearly wants nothing to do with Rick in any sense. So I kind of like him being just kind of like that lone wolf character.
Yeah.
I hope they don't just like end him completely in like the next season. So I want him to like last the whole series. Like, legitimately, he's a really good driving force.
Do you feel like they're adding to Rick and Morty like as characters, or do you think they're in limbo too long where they don't grow?
Are you talking? Well, that's kind of what I was going back before, where like they were doing purely episodic stuff for a while, so there's really no time to grow. And if they don't, like, occasionally, if it's not like occasionally they'll joke about a previous episode, but it's not the same as like building upon what you have. Rick and Morty sometimes will, but for the most part, at least for the past few seasons, it's really just been streamlined episodic, so there's not a whole lot of growth there. This, I hope, changes that a little bit, turns it around. I don't really want to go back to the whole episodic stuff. Like, I like the standalone episodes as much as the next guy, but I want to see progression in these characters. Like, where can these characters go? Such an interesting idea. Such interesting characters. You know, like, when is Morty finally going to snap? Like, we're in 7 seasons, and he still hasn't had that snapping moment. He still will follow Rick wherever he wants and does whatever he says. I'm like, when is he going to be beyond that? You know, when is his turn to become Evil Morty? Essentially, like. Because he's shown like he's more than capable. Like in that episode where with Mr. Nimbus and he goes to like that dog planet. Like, Morty shows he's more than capable of just like annihilating like everything in his way.
Even Planetina, when he kills all the ring bearers that summon Planetina,
exactly.
And he's like, you know, grabs a fire ring. And
he
he's
very
like,
clearly is becoming a Rick or anything like that. Something like that. But then doesn't really go anywhere that changes the story, whatnot. Even Morty talking to him, like, I thought that was gonna like trigger something, and it kind of did, but we don't know where that goes yet.
So Morty's definitely turning more into like a good fighter, and he's like getting more reresourceful, and he knows how some technology works.
Ruthless, and
that's cool. I was talking
the first episode when he kills a bug for the first time. And he's like, oh my god, like I just shot that person. You said there were robots. And now compared to that, he's just like, doesn't matter,
right? And like before when Rick hired the hitman,
right?
You know, just so he could get some Blitz and Chips tokens, you know, Chuck E. Cheese tokens, right?
Oh, I really wish. What was it, Compracus Michael?
Yeah,
I really wish he came back.
I know, but and that was one thing the show did really good too, is like setting up characters to only get like one scene, and you're like, oh, that sounds like an interesting character,
right?
But. Yeah, we've grown from that too, because now I think if you were to hire a hitman, I don't think Morty would have a conscience about it. So yeah, they've definitely changed. I had an argument with the guy who said, I was like, you watch Rick and Morty? And he's like, well, I started, but I stopped after like season 2 because they really just abandoned the Rick, you know, as he's trying to grow as a person. They just really threw that away with season 3. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know, like I'll give the Rick and Morty, I will say, like, yeah, they go slow. They go very slow. They're playing the long game. Like, if we're going to do Rick Prime, we'll introduce him this season, but he's not going to come up again for 2 or more seasons later.
Right.
Evil Morty, he launched his evil plan. He didn't show up from season 3. He didn't show up till season 5.
Right.
You know what I mean? That they play the long game. So I'm thinking, like, well, what do you think about pacing?
Right.
Like, that's what pacing is like slowing down. They need 110 episodes. They can't just do all that in one season.
Yeah.
You know? But I thought they were I think they're planting the seeds very well of like what they're supposed to do like later. You know, like okay, Rick, he's starting to care, but we can't just have him care in one episode. We need to have him start to take notes and care a little bit. I mean, even going back to season 2, like when he turns into when he's cool Rick or young Rick, when he turns into teenage Rick,
right?
Like deep down, he's scared to grow old. He's scared to die. Like he pretends to be really tough, but really, Rick Prime's someone who actually is the one that doesn't care.
Right.
But it turns out that our Rick C-137 does care, and that's set up so slowly over time. Not season 5, but the other seasons. They're planting the seed of like, okay, he actually cares a lot more than he lets on. It's called pacing, especially with the show that has like 50 episodes left. We can't do it all in one season. We have to go slow. Sometimes I feel like it's inconsistent where they'll go backwards. They'll go backwards a bit, like when he sends his clone or robot to take his place while he looks for Rick Prime, and he's like, see, like when I care, people lose respect for you. I was like, we're going backwards a bit. I wish we wouldn't go backwards all the time. I wish it was consistent, like we're building on to Rick. Yeah. So yeah, season 7 was dang good. It's making me hopeful for season 8. Because, like you said, we're out of the original Evil Morty. He's not really a villain anymore. Rick Prime's dead. Where are we going to go? And they're going to have to come up with new stuff now. I'm sick of Mr. Poopy Butthole. We get it. Like, he's a loser. Like, I'm kind of tired of him. He keeps getting episodes. I can talk about Justin Roiland for a bit, too. So, yeah, like you said, I was worried the writing would suffer with him getting fired. But, no, not really. Yeah. And it turns out he didn't go to the office that much. Right. He only went to say the lines and collect a paycheck. His own studio was kind of getting sick of working with him because he was kind of a jerk, and he was also hurting people, like hurting women. Yeah. So I don't know. How do you think they get away with, like, we know this is going on, and then like letting it happen?
How they get away with it?
Yeah. Like, how do they sleep at night?
Oh, gotcha. I mean, like, dude, that's just freaking show business in general. Right?
I know.
It's just always how it's been, always how it will be, essentially, like, with these idols that people create, never meet your heroes, right? Like, just because of people like that. Yeah. And you know what? They all got dark corners. Stan Harmon might even have a dark corner. You don't know, because, like, there's no way people didn't know. Right. People weren't, speaking up. But here's the thing. You speak up in that industry, you lose your job, you lose everything. You lose literally everything you own. So, like, and not to excuse that, but essentially it's just the reality of it, Right. And again, we're learning with Nickelodeon, like with Quiet on Set, like even in like the most quote unquote pure environments, like there was so much worse than what people thought was going on. Yeah. And that's just everywhere. It's always like that, unfortunately. It's kind of like, don't ask where the meat comes from sort of scenario, right? Yeah. So I think people just need to stop idolizing people to the point where they can do no wrong, and whatever they touch is gold. Like that's just what happens, because when people just have the ability, that mindset that they can't be touched. Yeah. And whatever they say, like Justin Roiland has a big head. Whatever I say will happen. Essentially, if I say Szechuan sauce, it's gonna freaking take the world by storm. And for a while, it did. So nowadays, people just seem to be more aware, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up Quiet on Set. So me and Toomey just shot the other day some at-night episodes because Darcy's busy and it's hard finding a woman to replace her, especially one that talks a lot. So me and Toomey, I had him binge watch Quiet on Set, and so he did, and so we talked about that for about 2 episodes. You really only need to watch the first 4 episodes. 5's like, you swear it's a different like production people. Like, it's not even the same thing. It's some random journalist who's like, okay, let me talk to some of the people that were in this show. It's clear that like after 4 episodes they were like, okay, we got a hit. I didn't realize how big of a hit we had on our hands. Let's do another one, just get more views. And it's not that good. Gotcha. So like I wouldn't worry about episode 5. So I think you should watch that. It's really good. Yeah. I will say, and I said this on the episode, I just say we got like 10 minutes left. What is it? It's nothing happened in that documentary that wasn't like happening everywhere in Hollywood. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there wasn't anything there where I was like, oh my gosh, like Nickelodeon, and just Nickelodeon was bad. Right. Like it's like that happens everywhere. Like, you know, a lot of that stuff. And it's not that it's good. I'm not saying that happens everywhere, let it go. But it's like Hollywood is such a gross place. If you're a woman and you're working in Hollywood, like it sucks. Like
your child, like just
your life's gonna be hard, you know. And then if you ever have your breakout performance, like I mean, doesn't matter. Some big producer is gonna invite you over to his hotel room. You
Yeah.
know, like how Harvey Weinstein, like his list of victims is huge. You know. But back to we can go back to Rick and Morty now. Did you play any of the games?
Like the VR thing?
Yeah, the VR
No.
one. That was pretty good. I mean, the writing wasn't as good, but it was interesting. Like concept. You're like in his lab and you're messing around. And then did you see The Accountant? I think it's The Accountant. It's not Rick and Morty, but it's Justin Roiland and that whole crew. They made another game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I watched someone play it, but I didn't play it myself.
Yeah, but that was pretty fun.
Zach Hadel voices a character in there who is the voice of Charlie in Smiling Friends.
Oh, nice.
For like he's like this teddy bear or something that just got shot and he's like slowly dying. He's like, oh my god, I'm dying, and he's like, I'm dead now. And then like you walk away. He's like, I didn't say I was dead. He's like, I didn't say it was over yet. I'm still dying over here. And then you go back like 5 or 6 times and he's still like. Oh gosh, the writing. I think the writing was very Rick and Morty inspired.
Right.
So, and at that time, I was really anti Rick and Morty humor, so I couldn't really get into it. But I heard, some of the writing was pretty decent.
And it's only available on like HTC Vive headset. You can't even play it on Oculus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it's ported to Oculus now. At the time, you can only get it on the HTC.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. Sorry, I did play The Accountant. I like that a lot. I thought you were talking about that other game that Roiland made that just came out recently.
With the eyeball guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Well, maybe the shooter.
Right.
The FPS. Yeah, that one. I forgot what that one's called.
No, not that one. I was talking about The Accountant.
Gotcha. Yes, I did play The Accountant on the VR. Yes, I really like that a lot.
That was a lot of fun.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the other one like then?
The other one?
Yeah, the one you were just describing.
The shooter?
Yeah.
Imagine Roiland's talking to you the entire time.
Yeah.
With just meta humor and kind of like recycled Rick and Morty jokes.
Yeah.
The entire game. Other things are funny in that game. Like the things that happen are really funny, but just if you don't like the humor, you can actually turn down. There's a setting to turn down how much the gun talks to you. Just like
nice,
because they knew it wasn't gonna be for everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a mixed bag, but most people like that game.
Yeah.
I really don't know why I can't think of the name. And there's supposed to be a sequel because they built up that like there at the very end there's a secret ending and it's a tonal shift. It actually goes very serious for some reason, and it's building up like the second game. But right after that is when Roiland got fired. So they're like, oh, Squanch Games. They're like, is Squanch Games gonna continue? Oh my gosh! So yeah, he kind of had like a little mini empire going for a while. And then,
video games, TV, multiple TV shows.
Yeah,
I don't think he dipped into movies yet.
No,
he was even in an episode of Invincible. Did you catch his voice actor?
Oh yeah. He was.
So, speaking of weird perverts, they recast Ezra Miller in Invincible as well. Did you catch that too?
I didn't even know he was in there.
Yeah, he plays the doctor that experiments and turns people to robots.
That's I didn't even catch that.
Yeah. So, did you catch up on season 2 yet?
I watched 2 episodes in the second part, so I haven't finished this season yet.
They bring back the character, and at first I was like, they got Ezra Miller back. How could they do that? But no, they recast Ezra Miller like straight up. But the new actor does a really good job. It sounds just like Ezra. I was like, oh my gosh! Like I almost thought they let his crimes go, and they just let him keep going. I was like, oh my gosh! But no, it's really good. So yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for. Ooh, that was good. I don't know. I'm excited for season 8. Justin Roiland's gone, thank goodness. I guess he wasn't for a while. He was getting to do whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
And he was able to hurt people, but that's not going to happen anymore. And I don't think he's going to be working anymore. So that's good.
Just everyone, just watch Smiling Friends while you're waiting. That's the only good like adult swim show right now.
What if something happens to Smiling Friends?
So what's interesting, the characters. Not that this means it will never happen, but the creators of that show are not Hollywood. They don't they've never worked in Hollywood before. They started off as like animators / voice actors back in like Newgrounds days. So they don't have that Hollywood mindset in my opinion, but that could also change. Who knows?
Right.
But
I mean, you
they're
get
also
big
just
enough.
very popular and very open and very like vulnerable online. Those so I'm like probably not gonna happen, but like you never know.
Never know. Like
never
power
know.
goes to people's head.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but nobody's screaming at McDonald's for Smiling Friends sauce. You know,
Gosh, no, that's not gonna happen
no
again.
one's tearing down the poor kids at McDonald's working. You know, to get something that they referenced. But I'm excited for season 2 of Smiling Friends.
Oh my gosh, cannot freaking wait! I watched episode 1. Fantastic stuff.
I was worried it wasn't going to get renewed.
Oh, it was. I think after like it dropped and just like it outdid. I would think it was like the biggest. I don't know how this works because I think it was according to Adult Swim like the biggest premiere for one of their shows.
Yeah.
Like a new show, so obviously not Rick and Morty with multiple seasons, but like biggest premiere, like enough people watched it were like, okay, instant green light. So I'm like, good, and people are starting to realize how smart the show is. So it's only going to get more and more and more. So who knows where it goes?
Yeah,
I just love how like, no matter like, even though like it's taken off, definitely the creators are still like, no, we're gonna go back to our gameplay channel every once in a while,
right.
Like legitimately, like not ever too big, essentially. So we'll hope it stays that way.
Yeah. So we'll see. Just like be good, be consistently good. I watched season 1 like 80 times.
Dude, that's the great thing about season 1 is like it's so short. You can binge watch the entire thing without even blinking. You know,
right.
like, and you just want more. You wish it was longer, but at the same time, it's like it's such an easy watch.
So when they dropped Smiling Friends Go to Brazil, I was like, yeah. And I watched that one like 50 times too. So I was like, oh, so good.
Dissect.
You just want more of it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. New season coming out in a month.
The trailer dropped for it. Looks really good. They have like a different animator for every episode to do something. They have rotoscope guy that I'm actually recognizing a lot of the animators who they're like Hooply. Have you ever seen his stuff? He does like the PS1 type looking animation stuff that you've probably seen before. And then there's this rotoscope guy, which looks really cool. Just like it's just endless opportunities, and they're giving a lot of like YouTube animators who don't have a whole lot of traction a place on, you know, like a Hollywood show, which is like crazy, you know?
Pretty sick. I'm excited. Like it's going to be good. I know that. So, all right. I think that's it for today. Hope y'all enjoyed today's discussion. We will see y'all next time. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. See you later.
Bye-bye.